what's going on, Noah? Hold on, let me get this music off real quick. Well, just hand sanding some of this cab here to try to smooth some of these parts where the actual original paint come off and the stuff that they had applied at one time didn't stick. And it's a nice thing that they have this and that one over there for me to do this, so I don't have to do it on a ladder like I did mine, because some people were concerned for some odd reason. But always curious about where I step, because I did train in flatbed and I've done plenty of flatbed stuff, so always watch where I step when I'm going down steps and things like that, because these are unfortunately extremely narrow and you could tumble down and go boom anytime you want to. But yeah, just out here kicking around with the truck. As you can see, I've got all the trim pieces off so I can do this. And if you come a little bit closer, you can see the original red that it was, and then someone had painted this, you know, and it had faded out over time. But all the trim pieces are sitting over here. I've got a lot of stuff laid out that I need to still do. Cleaned up the exhaust bracket up over here. Yeah, that's nice. I still need to do that, finish that up. Got the exhaust bracket all cleaned up. I just need to prime it. Here's some pieces for it that's going to go on. I've got the filter housing for the air cleaner right there that I need to clean up. This is the piece that goes to the turbo. It's going to be cleaned up. Here's all the air cleaner pieces that are going to be cleaned up and polished. So, and this all actually came off really easy. I was worried that some of those screws and bolts wouldn't come out, but everything came out extremely fine, and all this stuff's going to get hand polished up. There won't be any need for a gun or anything like that, or you know, a buffer. And then this will probably be scuffed up and reshot. So when I do end up shooting the frame, because obviously if you turn around, we have not got the fifth wheel plate on, and it was super cold this weekend, so I couldn't do any painting. But Friday, before we took off and headed out for supper and, you know, did everything else we like to do, I got the engine primed with 2000 degree primer, and then this I left on there because I already shot this with the 2000, and then that ceramic coating is also 2000, so that should be good for now. And I use some masking tape, and then I use some tin foil, aluminum foil on the hoses that I don't need. We're really not necessarily worried about some of these hoses, which would be like that is a coolant hose. It can get painted because it don't matter to them, and it doesn't matter to me. But yeah, I took the liberty to do all this, which you guys seen when I was giving Evan the tour of the truck. He'd been gone for over 2 weeks. Still need to get to this, waiting on my guy Donald to get a hold of me so he can bring the socket that we need to take this off. He's done this before, I haven't, so he's going to come and help me. He has a 9670, and he is a regular customer to these guys here in Ringgold, Georgia at the Truck Parking Club clubhouse. So he parks out here, but he is retired, and he only comes out here when they need him. So, but he moves houses and stuff like that and relevels houses, so he's constantly busy, but he's going to do that. And then in exchange for his labor and help and anything else he does for the truck, any fab work, because he can fab stuff up, we're going to take this wet kit, the PTO pump off, and he's going to get that in the tank because we really have no use for it. So, you know, I talked to Evan about that, and then he said, yeah, that's fine. And then he's going to bring me some transmission fluid and some depth fluid for when we change this, because he has stuff at home already that he had bought a bunch of stuff at an auction. So I said, yeah, that's fine, dude. You help me out, and if I need him to fab something, he can. So I think we'll be okay, though. I think we're in a good situation. I just need the weather to warm up to where I'm comfortable with spraying this stuff in the shop and letting it cure, because it's just too cold, and I don't want anything orange peeling up really too bad on me. I'm sure we're going to have some, but I don't want to shoot anything too cold, and I don't want to sit there and run that generator or that salamander constantly to try to keep this place warm when it's only going to warm up where it's shooting and it goes straight up to the ceiling. I need the ambient temperature of the concrete to be a little bit warmer for me to feel comfortable when I shoot it. So if you don't know what that word means, you'll have to Google it. But I mean, we're starting to get some parts lined up and ordered to where The things we're going to put on the truck that aren't going back on the truck that we took off and are sitting over the scrap pile, they can get them ordered. We can get them ordered, so we have the stuff, because the truck unfortunately ain't going to be done by Valentine's Day. I want to have everything painted. I want to have the wheels on. I want to have the tanks on, which I need to finish polishing those up there in the other room. Evan's cousin came and sanded them down, got them all nice and smooth, and got one of the tanks half polished, so I'll need to finish that up and do the rest of the stuff. So there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of food on my plate, so I need to have an appetite to be able to do this stuff. And you know, it's just one of those situations. I work better under pressure in the first place, so I don't mind the challenge, and I'm up for the challenge. It's just going to be some long mornings and long nights for me to get it done. But at the same time, I think it's coming along great. We have until the end of March, which it's definitely going to be done by the end of March and at Matt's. So my goal is to have it moving and mobile, the truck painted, the engine painted, the cab painted by then, and then everything slapped on there that we need to. I'm not necessarily worried about the stack, the bracket being on, the air cleaner, anything like that. I just want to be the truck with tires and wheels on it and moving under its own power and everything hooked up, because I still need to do full service. Obviously, we haven't got the fifth wheel and the plate on, but we're not even worried about that. That's the least of our concerns, because that can be the last thing we do if we want. I just want it on before I paint it, so it will go on before this weekend. And I got some muscle Michael Lombard coming in Wednesday, so if he's around Thursday, I may use him to help me out do some things, and we'll get this thing up before the weekend, because I plan to paint this frame this weekend, or this thing needs to get painted sooner than later. I just need to get that taken care of, because I don't want to paint the frame and then us be moving around and jigging around trying to get that stuff off and then mess it up. So that's one thing that has to get done soon. And if he doesn't come by Wednesday, I'm taking that bitch out by myself. I can guarantee you that. So anything you need to add, Noah?
You got it all.
That's pretty much it. So yeah, I'm just starting to knock down some of the stuff and scuff it up to where I'm smoothing out some rungs that are up there that you're going to see. Obviously the top's not that big of a deal, the cab. Did do some stuff up there and scratched up with the Scotch-Brite, and then I used the sanding disc by hand just to smooth out some of the chips and stuff like that, but I do have some body filler. But yeah, that's the least of our worries up there. And Evan would say the same thing. Don't waste your time on that. Nobody's going to see it, because obviously the cab's probably going to be down at every show unless they say, hey, we jack it up. And then I'll say, just look under there, or somebody else will do what they need to do to tell them just look under there. They probably won't ever jack it up unless it needs maintenance, which this thing I don't think will ever need maintenance, because it's rock solid and it has super low mileage. So with that being said, wait until the next clip we come back, and hopefully we have some more progress on the truck. Until then, you know what we say, we will see you.
Hey folks, we are back here at the clubhouse, and you see this truck behind me. You might have seen a little bit of what it looks like sanded with all the trim off, but I mean, just check it out. I mean, you can stare at this all day. I do. So we've got all this dust in here, but that's all right. It's progress, and this thing is gonna look money. This is the original red right there. Look, you wipe some of that dust off, you can see exactly what we're talking about. It's a 48-year-old paint job, guys. Not worried about that. So yeah, look at that. I mean, that's what happens when you start sanding. But got a little sneak peek for you here. This is some cat yellow that Chad so graciously has applied as a little tester sample, so we can see exactly what this thing's gonna look like when it's yellow. And I'll tell you what, guys, I'm excited, and you better be too. Well, yeah, here we go. We got, I don't know, I feel like there's not that many more updates.
Well, there's going to be plenty of updates, because we still need to mount the tires on the rims, so that's going to be fun. I still need to finish the fifth wheel. I've got a ton of polishing to do on the grill surround. I've got a ton of polishing to do on the air cleaner tubes. I got a ton of polishing to do on the stack still. I still need to clean up the actual air filter housing and paint that. I need to paint the exhaust stack bracket. I need to paint the truck. I need to paint the frame. I need to paint the engine. I need to still clean up some of the mess that is where that pump just came off and stuff like that on the transmission, so I can paint. I've got a shitload of things honestly to do to you. But this paint honestly is somewhat of a pain in the butt because somebody had shot primer filler on it and they didn't sand anything out. So that's why I shot the tester spot, because I look who's in the house. Look who decided to join us all the way from down south in Austin, Texas. Came up to the clubhouse because he's getting ready to truck with Chris and go to Vegas, baby.
Vegas, baby.
He's gonna no whammy that thing, and hope that he strikes it big, so he can retire early and just work on fitness.
And just drive it, and just drive this, and do frickin' pull-ups and run marathons in parking lots.
Exactly, that too. But anyways, the primer filler, that is why I shot the tester spot, because I wanted them to be able to see. Let me grab this little light of mine if I can find it over here real quick. I wanted them to see what it would look like if I don't sand this all the way down, or if I shoot this with primer, because I'm probably sure you can't see this, but there's a little bunch of spots in there that basically the paint sucks into, and it's like air bubbles. Now this is just rattle can paint, and it didn't do too bad, and there's still some garbage in here and stuff like that, but I wanted them to see what it would look like yellow first of all, and what it looks like when it's just thrown over the sealer that's not sanded out, because the sealer has different air bubbles in it. You can see these ones right here clearly, and anything that the dust basically settles in that. So that's what that would look like. That paint would just suck in there, and then you would not be able to, you know, you're gonna see that kind of stuff, and you're gonna have basically a garbage paint job, and that's not what I want for them to represent their company. So that's why I shot the little yellow spot, just to see what it would look like for my own liking and their own liking. But when I was painting Frank last summer, I did that in a couple spots, and then I shot primer over it, and I didn't like the way it looked because it was wavy and the primer sucked into it. So I ended up resanding it all the way down to basically what I had it at the beginning, and then I knocked all that primer sealer down to where it was smooth, and you know, I was satisfied with it to where I could paint the truck, and that's what's going to happen with this one. So basically just told Noah, if I gotta prime the truck, I gotta prime the truck. That's one more step. I wasn't wanting to do that. I was just wanting to scuff and shoot it and knock it down. But once I was scuffing it with that red Scotch pad, it just wasn't coming off, and there was just too much crap and trash in there, and I couldn't understand what it was until I actually got the orbital sander up with some discs, and I started getting into that gray, and I figured out that's what it is. So yeah, you can come over here and you can clearly see all the lines and that stuff. So that's what happens when you use primer sealer and you don't sand it down. So my recommendations for painting a truck is, or anything, don't use primer sealer or primer filler unless it's sandable, because it gets extremely hard and it's a super pain in the butt to sand out. It just doesn't get smooth like you want regular primer to. So that's one tip from me from mistakes that I've made in the past and mistakes I'm getting ready to fix. With that being said, we'll see you on the next one. Okay, well, I'm back. I've got the gear off and the little shaft slid out on the one side. Tried to get them to both come off, but they wouldn't. And then I was able to finagle the tank enough to get that off, which was fine. This thing weighs a ton, so I was lifting it, holding on to it with one hand, then I was like, yeah, there's no way if I drop that thing's just gonna end up dropping on my foot. So I've got Noah out here to assist me. He is going to hold on to that. I'm gonna drop or pull that last bolt, and then he's probably just gonna slide it out and either pull it out if he can get it out, or he's just gonna lean over and drop it on the ground. And then I've got the rest of the stuff sitting over there for Donald. You've already seen that. I still need to put the plate on, which is fine. I'm just letting it sit there for a little bit and saturate. I still need to find 2 bolts to go in it, because those ones are super long and they're obviously not going back in, and I'll give those to him for that. And then, you know, the other one should be on there, or somebody can find one somewhere, I suppose. But regardless, this is what I'm gonna do real quick. I'm gonna stick you up over here so you can see it. I'll probably just time lapse it. Well, I'll probably just leave it running, because it's literally gonna take like 2 seconds for me to undo the bolt and then him to do it. So we'll just leave it right here like this. Slide it all the way out like this. Okay, see how heavy that is?
Yeah.
Grab right here. Right here is where can you get down to it?
Yeah, I just don't want to be in your way.
No, you're fine. All I gotta do is screw this thing out. So do you have a hold of it? That's gonna move on you. because that's free.
Right here.
Okay, that's fine as long as you feel like it's good.
Yeah, I got
Okay,
it.
ready?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. Oops, it's going the wrong way. Okay, bada bling, bada bloom, just like that, folks. Oh yeah, he's manhandling it like a beast. Woo! How much you think it weighs?
I would venture to say 60, 70.
60 to 80 pounds.
I don't know. It's dense.
Yeah, it's
It
thick.
might be more. It is.
It is thick
dense.
because this is all cast. This isn't light by any means, so just basically it's going to get moved over to the other side now, over on that piece of cardboard where that gear is at. So that's off. No more PTO pump on the truck, no more wet kit, no more lines. The only thing that's still hooked up is the electrical line, which I can plug that into any 12 volt to where when you turn the truck on or you flip the lights on, that light will come on. I think that'll be cool. Other than that, it's good. So that's what's up. Thanks for Noah and his muscles. Sometimes I do need help. If not, I probably would have put a ratchet strap around it and slid the Cushman up to where I could have just backed it up and let it drop down, because I'm one guy and you know it's hard to do things as one guy, especially when something like that heavy is coming off the truck. But it's a good thing I've got my young friend and protege assistant Noah to help me out once in a while when I need it. He's learning a lot of stuff from me. And how do you feel so far?
The truck looks insane. Every time I talk about it, I say unbelievable, gorgeous, and insane. But that's all I can think of to describe it. I'm tickled. I can't wait to see this thing in its final form. It's awesome.
Yeah, that's what's up, folks. Right on. How'd that go?
That was easy.
And I scuffed up the stuff a little bit, but that's no big deal. I can always touch that up before I paint it. Not really worried about it. It was better than trying to lift it because it was heavy and we were trying to shove it. And luckily I had him out here to muscle things up when I needed to get the boards out, but that's that. That is that. A loader grandpa suite, huh? I'm probably gonna throw it in the trailer now, get it out of here. This is on, I'm happy about it. At least I did something, I accomplished something today besides cleaning up my mess, so that's what's up. That is what is up. What'll happen tonight, I don't know. The day's so young, isn't it? Even though it's like 4 o'clock.
Is it 4?
I think so.
Yep, pretty much.
Damn right. Okay, that's what's going on, folks. It's Clubhouse on Friday, just doing stuff with what we got here.